Hey, it's Russ from the Infectious Groove Podcast. Coming up on the channel today, two different pressings of kind of the same record, even a little bit of a title change on the repress. Talking about INXS Live coming right up. All right, we are going to get right into it and talk about one of the cooler INXS records, at least in my opinion, that came out in the early 90s and really didn't get as much love as it should for a couple of different reasons. Not sure how you pronounce this, but I've been told this is supposed to be pronounced Live Baby Live because of the lyric in New Sensation. A lot of people think it's Live Baby Live. I don't really care how you say it. It's a live album from INXS from the X Tour. So if you know a little bit about INXS, then you know that they are coming off a monster run of records. Listen Like Thieves cultivated What You Need, and then that rolled into Kick, which cultivated, 5 or 6 massive hits. X continued on with Suicide Blonde being a big hit and a lot of fan favorites on that one as well. So what better way to document all of that success that came to INXS than a live record? So that ends up being this here, which I've been told again is supposed to be called Live Baby Live. This has a picture of Michael Hutchence from the front in Wembley Stadium. On the inside, kind of a cool little gatefold, a little bit of the track listing and some info about where it was recorded and whatnot. Probably not the best back cover I've ever seen in my life. A little bit confusing, kind of handwriting graffiti style almost. It is the track listing, but there's no rhyme or reason. And actually you really got to kind of look around to figure out if the song you were looking for is included in the live set or not. And so much bigger fan of the front cover and the inner gatefold than I am the back sleeve on this one. As far as the actual record, I've got a couple of complaints. Number one, this album has no business being on one LP. This album is much, much longer than should be put on one record. But again, it was the early 90s. Record labels not so much caring about what should be done with vinyl. So they took and crammed this entire live record, which was released on 2 CDs, onto one vinyl LP. And if you look in there, you can see these songs are super, super, super thin. They are all crammed together, which is not what you're going for. You end up with a really thin sound, no bass, and really you end up with some intergroove distortion when you get to the later tracks, which is a little bit upsetting. However, at the time that I bought this record, which would have been 5 or 6 years ago, I imported it because it was never released here in the United States. And I really like this live record. And I never thought something like this would get some time and effort put into it. When bands reissue their catalogs, when they do these campaigns of nostalgia and whatnot, they almost always leave out the live albums. So I never expected this to get any sort of attention or a remaster or anything along those lines. So I picked it up then. It was serviceable, sounds fine. It's not anything today I would tell you to go out and try and find. It's not necessarily rare. It's just that if you're buying records in the US, it's not something you come across commonly. There's 2 reasons why I would tell you to go ahead and skip this. Number one is one of the complaints that it got when it came out was that the critics really accused INXS of overdubbing too much on this record, that it sounded too perfect. INXS swears that there's only one overdub on this entire record, and it's a saxophone part. I'm not here to fight that fight. I do know, having seen INXS live, that they were amazing. And this sounds to me like they sounded live. They were just a tight band live. But every track on the record is taken from a different city. So it's not very cohesive. You don't hear, it's not one concert experience. It's not jarring. It's not like there's a huge crowd noise difference between tracks. But it's not a unifying experience. It's all culled from different performances throughout the European tour. So it's not one piece altogether. So for those 2 reasons, even if I didn't have this other thing, I would tell you to maybe pass on the Live Baby Live original. However, because this exists, we can now say for sure pass on Live Baby Live and go this route. This here is a reissue that's been technically retitled. Like if you try and look for this record, you need to type in the whole thing, INXS Live Baby Live at Wembley Stadium. Now, here we go with a whole different experience. This is INXS live in one take at one show. So this is INXS on the same tour, the X tour, and actually some of the tracks from the show were included in the audio on the original version, but it is all from the one night in Wembley Stadium. So it's one experience from the whole night. That's the first good reason to check this out. Another good reason, and if you watched our video on Pink Floyd, The Delicate Sound of Thunder, the 2 LP version versus the 3 LP, this has a big plus in that it is the entirety of the set list, whereas the original crammed on 1 LP focused pretty much just on the hits. You might have missed some of the fan favorites on there. This record has, over the course of 3 LPs, the entirety of the set list that they did that night at Wembley Stadium. So if you're a big INXS fan and you like more than just New Sensation and Devil Inside, you've got all the other songs on here that you like as well. So you've got the complete set list. The other reason why this is big, and this is something where, again, this piece succeeds where the Pink Floyd piece failed miserably. This is a remix and remaster, but the remix is in the right hands. If you watched our video about the Beatles' White Album and how much I praised Giles Martin's work with the work his father did with the Beatles on the White Album and the things that he, I don't want to say fixed, but enhanced, we'll say, Giles Martin took all of the audio from the INXS concert at Wembley Stadium and remixed it to where it really sounds like the full cohesive unit of INXS together, commanding the stage and kicking ass all at one moment there that night in Wembley Stadium. So Giles Martin kind of took the experience that was a pieced together live album, took one night's audio and really made the band sound live and energetic. And if you're like me and you miss Michael's presence in this world and really love his magnetic stage performance, you don't even have to watch the film that goes along with this. You can put on this record and you get it. You understand what Michael Hutchence brought to the table as far as a frontman, a singer, an artist, and a human being. I really like what they did with the packaging on this. They gave a really, really, really good updated book and a lot of pictures of just that night and that time. There's notes from the band now looking back on it saying, oh, holy cow, we were playing Wembley and we were amazing and the night was amazing. And of course, what a wonderful picture of Michael there at the show at the end. You have some printed inners for the records. I, of course, have replaced these with the anti-static and anti-dust inner sleeves, but some cool pictures. Some of these are recycled from the booklet, but that's okay. A little bit about the record itself and the re-recording or not re-recording, remix and reissue, how and why it was done. And it's just a wonderful package. This is not rare by any stretch of the imagination. It's a little pricey as of the time of making this video. I want to say these go for around 60 US, which is a little pricey, but it's also 3 records that showcase a statement and a time and a place and a frontman who's no longer with us. So for me, I'm doing this video today on 2 different INXS live reissues that are similarly titled, but not exactly the same record. Given the choice, you got to go this way. This is the one to pick up. So if you take away something from this video, it is Live Baby Live and it is INXS Wembley Stadium. Go pick it up.